Okay, for the next few minutes, we're going to connect the dots on some of the biggest stories that have happened around the globe in just the last 24 hours. Let's break down what's really shaping our world right now.
So, we've broken it all down into three big themes to really help see the bigger picture. We're looking at the power plays between nations, the very real human cost of what's going on, and of course, the new battlegrounds opening up in the world of tech.
All right, let's dive right into our first theme, the world of geopolitics. And believe me, things are simmering on a lot of different fronts, from presidential summits all the way to the front lines of war.
We're going to start with this high-stakes diplomatic dance. So, get this. Just hours before a really critical summit, President Trump goes public and criticizes South Korea over defense spending. This is such a classic power play, using public pressure to try and get some leverage before the talks even start. It puts a long-standing ally on the defensive right from the get-go.
Now, let's shift over to a conflict where tech and politics are getting tangled up in a really dangerous way. Over in Ukraine, a communication tool that is absolutely vital for soldiers on the ground is suddenly at risk. And it's not from an enemy attack, but from a political fight happening hundreds of miles away.
I mean, this is a perfect example of that butterfly effect you hear about in modern geopolitics. The Ukrainian military absolutely depends on Elon Musk's Starlink for their communications on the battlefield. But now, because of a totally separate argument about refugee aid, Poland's president has issued a veto that could literally cut off their access. It just goes to show how a political move made so far away can have immediate, life-or-death consequences on the front line.
And you can see how this global pressure is reshaping entire economies. So, because Russia is facing all these Western sanctions, it's now turning east, looking to India to fill some pretty critical labor shortages. This isn't just about finding workers. It's a huge strategic pivot. They're building new economic ties because of these geopolitical realities.
Okay, let's shift our focus now from the big picture strategy to the human element. Because beyond all the politics, these events have a profound, immediate cost, and it's measured in lives. Lives affected by conflict and by the raw forces of nature.
Sometimes a single number just tells the whole story. In Gaza, that number is 20. At least 20 people were killed in an Israeli strike on a hospital. It's just a devastating figure that represents families shattered and a place that's supposed to be a sanctuary violated in the middle of a conflict. Well, the international response was pretty sharp. The United Nations came out and condemned what it called global inaction. And that's a really powerful accusation aimed at the entire world community. And so, tragically, 5 journalists were among the dead, which is just a grim reminder of the incredible danger people face trying to show the world what's really happening on the front lines.
Meanwhile, a whole different kind of front line is forming over in Southeast Asia. Typhoon Kajiki, which is the most powerful storm of the year, is just bearing down on Vietnam, and it's forcing an entire region to brace for impact.
The sheer scale of the preparation here is just staggering. This isn't just a weather report, it's a massive logistical operation. We're talking mass evacuations, schools shut down, airports closed. An entire region is basically in a race against time to protect human life from the power of nature. And for the last story in this section, we turn to a mystery that's just starting to unfold right outside Paris. It's a story that's really just beginning to take shape.
The details we have are stark and pretty unsettling. 4 bodies have been recovered from the River Seine, and police have 1 suspect in custody. For now, it's a grim mystery, with way more questions than answers.
All right, our final theme is the world of technology. It's becoming this major arena for global power struggles, but these fights aren't fought with armies. They're fought with lawsuits and algorithms. So a modern clash of the titans is definitely brewing. Elon Musk's new company, xAI, is actually suing 2 of the biggest names out there, Apple and OpenAI. And the accusation? That they're rigging the game to shut down competition in the absolutely exploding field of AI. This is not just a business dispute, folks. It's a fight for who controls the future of technology itself. And all this brings us to a really fundamental question. We saw how Starlink is literally a lifeline in Ukraine, right? But then we also see how AI is at the center of this huge legal battle for dominance. So, is technology just a neutral tool for progress? Or is it quickly becoming one of the most powerful weapons of influence we have in the 21st century? So what does this whole 24-hour snapshot really tell us? Well, 3 patterns definitely stand out. First, geopolitical friction is really testing old alliances, and it's forcing new ones to form.
Second, the human impact of these crises, from Gaza to Vietnam, is just immediate and undeniable. And finally, technology. It's proving to be both a critical lifeline and a brand new global battlefield.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. We've just covered a single day's news. But are these just random, disconnected events? Or are we actually watching the early tremors of a much bigger, much more profound global shift? That's the question for all of us to think about.